Welcome to the OOV Daily Reflection for Tuesday, December 27th. Today, the Universal Church honors St. John the Evangelist as we continue our celebration of the Christmas octave. And St. John the Evangelist, unlike many of the apostles, has a tremendous amount shared about him throughout the synoptic Gospels of Matthew, Mark, and Luke, and then through his own Gospel, the Gospel according to John. As we know from the Gospels, St. John and his brother St. James were fishermen who were called by the Lord from their father Zebedee's boat, and they immediately followed Christ. And then we hear later on that the mother of St. John and St. James comes to question Jesus about whether her sons could sit at his right and left when he comes into his kingdom. We also know through the Gospels that they were present at the Transfiguration. And though Jesus did not want this event to be told to anyone until after his death and resurrection, they were privileged to witness this miraculous event. And also we know, according to his own gospel, that St. John was the disciple whom Jesus loved. And he reclined next to Jesus at the Last Supper, and he was the one to whom Jesus gave the exquisite honor of caring for his mother, as St. John stood beneath the cross. Furthermore, St. John was one of the first witnesses to the resurrection. And this last event is told in today's gospel passage for this Mass in honor of St. John the Evangelist. It comes to us from the 20th chapter of St. John's Gospel. It reads, "On the first day of the week, Mary Magdalene ran and went to Simon Peter and to the other disciple whom Jesus loved and told them, 'They have taken the Lord from the tomb, and we do not know where they put him.' So Peter and the other disciple went out and came to the tomb. They both ran, but the other disciple ran faster than Peter and arrived at the tomb first. He bent down and saw the burial clothes there, but did not go in. When Simon Peter arrived after him, he went into the tomb and saw the burial clothes there, and the cloth that had covered his head, not with burial cloths, but rolled up in a separate place. Then the other disciple also went in, the one who arrived in the tomb first, and he saw and believed." But we know the story of St. John goes on after this amazing event, because as we hear in the Acts of the Apostles, Jesus ascended into heaven, and then St. John, along with St. Peter, went to work proclaiming the good news of Christ in the Acts of the Apostles. And they ended up being jailed together. And these are the words described to them in the Acts of the Apostles. Quote, "Observing the boldness of Peter and John and perceiving them to be uneducated, ordinary men, the questioners were amazed, and they recognized them as companions of Jesus." Unquote. So with all this being said, St. John was an ordinary man who was called by Christ to do extraordinary things for the church. Because on that day he left his father's boat, he had no idea that he would end up being the most prolific writer of the New Testament, and that he would play this pivotal role in the formation of the early church, supporting it, guiding it, and ultimately bringing together many of the experiences and teachings of Christ. But again, he did an extraordinary thing because of God's grace and the call that he placed within his life. So praise be God, St. John said yes, and praise be God that he was willing to go wherever Christ led him so that he could continue to fulfill his destiny as one of the evangelists, but also as one of the apostles who witnessed to Jesus Christ in the midst of the early church. So for you and me, brothers and sisters, we need to make sure that our yes to Jesus Christ is one that is always at the forefront of our lives. No matter where he calls us, no matter what he asks us to do, we need to say yes over and over each and every day so that we can truly be the faithful disciple like St. John and do what he asks of us in our lives. and it will probably not be as significant as St. John, give his important role in writing the New Testament. But the work that God has in store for us is something that only you and I can do. And it is our faithful response, our yes to the Lord, that allows that to be done and to truly help to build up the kingdom. So as we continue with this Christmas octave and head into this new year, let us renew our yes to the Lord and make sure that we are truly doing our best to help not only ourselves do God's will, but also inspire others to do God's will in their lives. St. John the Evangelist and Our Lady of Victory, pray for us.